Hey guys, it's Mark from Ace Tutors, and in this video, I'm going to explain chi-square tests for homogeneity. This video will continue my series on hypothesis testing and look really similar to my last video on the chi-square test for goodness of fit, so let's jump right into it. As a reminder, the goal of hypothesis testing is to make a certain conclusion about a large population by using data from a smaller sample. Chi-square tests for homogeneity are just one way to do that when you have certain data and you want to answer a specific question about your population. So when would you use this test type? Well, you would use this type of hypothesis test whenever you have two or more populations or groups, each is broken down into two or more categories, and you want to answer the question, does the distribution across the categories differ between groups? This is similar to the goodness of fit test in my last video in that there are once again multiple categories for our population, but in those tests we were taking the distribution across the categories for one single group and comparing that to assumed values, and in these tests we are instead taking the distribution across the categories for multiple groups and comparing them to each other. Now to solve these types of problems, we're going to use the same process we follow for all of our hypothesis test problems, the 5 C's, which we first discussed in my video covering the idea of hypothesis testing in general. We are first going to create our hypotheses for a particular problem, then we will check certain necessary conditions are true in order to use this chi-square test method. Next we will calculate our test statistic and p-value, compare these to our critical value and alpha value, and finally conclude based on our findings. Alright, let's dive into each of these steps with our first example. There are two professors that teach the type of class you're taking. You think your professor is great, but your friend thinks hers is better. To decide if there's a difference in each class, you take a simple random sample of 50 students from each class. The observed grades for each class taking the same final exam is below. At an alpha value of 0.05, test if there is a difference. Okay, first, just like the chi-square goodness of fit test, let's finish organizing our information in the table. From the table provided, you can tell we have 2 total groups, 1 for each professor and 5 different categories across each group, 1 for each possible grade. Here we already have all the observed number of students who got each grade in each class. Next, we'll need to figure out how many students we would expect to have gotten each grade in each class to compare what we observed to that. In order to do that, for each cell we use this formula. So for each cell we would take the total from that row in the observed table, multiply that by the total from that column in that table, and then divide it by the table total, which is 100. Calculating these for each of our different cells, here is what we get for our expected counts for each grade and professor. One thing you'll notice is that the expected counts are the same for each professor, and that's because the sample size for each class just happened to be the same, but that's not always the case. Okay, now that we have our observed and expected tables, let's clean this up a bit, keep our alpha value from the problem, and jump into our 5-step process with creating our null and alternative hypotheses. As always, I like to start with our alternative hypothesis. Our alternative hypothesis, H sub A, is whatever we're testing about the population to see if something's going on. So for our problem, we're testing to see whether the distribution of grades for one professor is different than the distribution of grades for the other professor. So we can say our alternative hypothesis is something like the grade distributions are not equal. Then our null hypothesis is always just the opposite of this, which makes our null hypothesis, H sub O, that the grade distributions are equal. Now that we have our hypotheses, we next need to check our conditions. For chi-square tests, there are 3 different conditions that need to be satisfied in order for us to be able to use this test type. Essentially, we're trying to make sure that the data we collected is a good representation of the overall population. The first condition we need to meet is that the data we collect is from simple random samples of the groups to ensure we picked our data points randomly. The second is that all expected counts for all categories have to be greater than or equal to 5. This is needed to ensure that we can use a chi-square distribution to approximate our sampling distribution. And lastly, the third condition we need to meet is that the sample sizes are less than 10% of the overall population sizes to ensure that our data points are independent from one another. Going through these for our problem, the question stated that you take simple random samples, so that checks off the first condition. Next, when we calculated the expected counts for each category, we found them each to be greater than or equal to 5, so that checks off the second condition. Lastly, let's assume there are more than 500 students taking each class, so that the sample size of 50 for each class is less than 10% of the population size for each class, and that checks off our third condition. Okay, now that our conditions are met, we can move on with the problem and calculate the test statistic and p-value. As a reminder, a test statistic is just a standardized value that describes how far our sample data is from expected results. And the p-value describes the probability of getting our sample data of grade distributions for each class that is that different if the true distribution of grades is actually equal. For these test types, the test statistic we use is called a chi-square statistic. I'll discuss the chi-square statistic and distribution in greater detail in another video, but ultimately this statistic, just like all test statistics, are a measure of how far our sample data is from expected values. We use a z or t statistic when we have a single statistic we are comparing to a single assumed population parameter. When we have multiple groups or populations and categories like we do here, we need to use the chi-square statistic, which essentially takes how far each observed value is from expected and adds them all up. Just like our goodness of fit example, the formula for chi-square is the sum of O minus E squared divided by E, where O is the observed number of students for a grade and E is the expected number of students for a grade. Calculating this for our problem, we would plug in the values for each of our grades or categories, then we would add all of them up. In the end, we find that chi-square equals about 11.07. Now that we have all of this calculated, let's add this to our distribution. As I mentioned, for these types of problems, we're using a chi-square distribution, which corresponds to a chi-square statistic and looks like this. As I discussed in my goodness of fit video, the chi-square distribution's shape depends on how many groups and categories you have. Since chi-square is additive across each cell in our table, if you have more categories and groups, your chi-square value will end up being higher just because of the number of groups and categories you have. To compensate for this, we have to bring back the idea of degrees of freedom. For chi-square tests for homogeneity, the degrees of freedom is calculated by the number of rows or groups in your table, minus 1, times the number of columns or categories in your table, minus 1. For our example, we have 2 rows and 5 columns, so our degrees of freedom are 1 times 4, which is just 4. This causes our chi-square distribution to look like this. Now when we calculated the chi-square statistic for our problem, we found that to be 11.07, which is about here in the distribution. As a reminder, this test statistic is a measure of how far our sample data is from expected values. To find the probability of getting this sample data, if our expected values are actually correct, we need to find the p-value like we always do, by finding the area in the distribution from this test statistic to the tail. But one thing to note is that because chi-square is always positive, we're almost always going to do a right tail test. So we need to find the area from our test statistic to the right tail. To do that, we'll use this calculator that's on our website. I'll put a link here and in the description if you want to check it out. Since we have a chi-square statistic and are looking for a p-value, I'll select the chi-square to p-value button. Then just like we talked about, I'll select the right tail type. Next, I'll enter our chi-square value of 11.07 and our degrees of freedom of 4 to find that our p-value is about 0.0258. Now that we have our test statistic and p-value, we can compare these to our critical value or alpha value. As a reminder from my previous video, to make this comparison, you can either compare your test statistic to your critical value or your p-value to your alpha value. Since we have our alpha value given in the problem and we just calculated our p-value, let's compare those two. It works out the same no matter which way you do it. Okay, to compare our p and alpha values, we just need to determine which one is bigger or smaller. With a p-value of 0.0258 and an alpha value of 0.05, the p-value is less than the alpha value. Okay, great. Now that our comparison is done, we can move on to our last step, conclude. If you recall, there are only 2 conclusions you can make for hypothesis testing problems. We can either reject the null hypothesis in favor of the alternative hypothesis, or we can fail to reject the null hypothesis. To know when to make each conclusion, I like to remember the saying, if p is low, reject HO. That means that if our p-value is low, aka lower than our alpha value, we should reject HO, the null hypothesis. If the p-value is greater than the alpha value, we would fail to reject the null hypothesis. For our example, the p-value of 0.0258 was less than our alpha value of 0.05, so we would reject our null hypothesis. To put this in context of the problem, we could say at a 5% significance level, we reject the null hypothesis and have sufficient evidence to support the claim that the distribution of grades in each class is different from one another. And one last note when concluding is that by using this test, we can't necessarily say what about the grade distributions are different. All we can say is that we have sufficient evidence that they are different. Okay, so that's how you do a chi-square test for homogeneity. If any of those steps were confusing, don't worry. I'd encourage you to go back and watch each step or our previous videos to really internalize what we did for each of the 5 steps in our process. This will continue to be really important as we follow this 5-step process for every single type of hypothesis testing problem we do. First, we create our hypotheses, then check conditions, then calculate our test statistic and p-value, then compare those values to our critical or alpha value, and finally conclude based on our findings. In future videos, I'll cover many more examples of this and other hypothesis test types. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please hit those like and subscribe buttons to support us making more videos for you. And if you didn't, please leave us a comment down below to let us know what we can do better. Thanks again for watching, and remember, you have big dreams. Don't let a class get in the way.